49% of adults call themselves people pleasers. Most of them don't realize they're slowly disappearing. You think you're being kind. You think you're being helpful, agreeable, easy to be around. But somewhere along the way, without anyone telling you, you stopped showing up as yourself. You started showing up as the version of yourself other people seem to want. And the strangest part, nobody noticed, including you. This isn't a video about how to say no. It's a video about why you can't. People-pleasing rarely starts in adulthood. It begins much earlier, in homes, where a child learned that love was conditional, where a parent's mood determined whether the house felt safe, where being good was the price of being loved. If you grew up reading the room before you read your own feelings, adjusting yourself before anyone asked, you were doing what every child does in that situation. You were surviving. The problem is, you never stopped. The behavior that protected you at 6 is now the same behavior costing you at 30. You still scan rooms. You still adjust. You still soften your needs before anyone has the chance to reject them. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're using a survival skill in a place that no longer requires it. Carl Jung had a name for the version of yourself you built to be acceptable. He called it the persona, from the Latin word for the mask ancient Greek actors wore on stage. Jung said the persona is necessary. We all need a social face. The problem begins when the mask becomes thicker than the person wearing it. When you forget there's a face underneath. Every time you say yes, when you mean no, the mask thickens. Every time you laugh at a joke that wasn't funny, the mask thickens. Every time you swallow the sentence you almost said, the mask thickens. And eventually the people in your life don't know you. They know the mask. They love the mask. Which means a part of you starts to feel, quietly, secretly, that you're not really being loved at all. Because how can you be? Nobody knows who you actually are. This is the loneliness people pleasers describe. Not the loneliness of being alone. The loneliness of being surrounded and unseen. Jean-Paul Sartre called this living in bad faith, pretending you have no choice. You tell yourself, I have to say yes. I have to keep the peace. I have to be the easy one. But Sartre's argument was uncomfortable. You always have a choice. Always. You're choosing to say yes. You're choosing to keep the peace. You're choosing to disappear. The reason this matters is simple. If you believe you have no choice, you have no agency, you're a leaf in someone else's wind. But the moment you admit you're choosing, the moment you say I'm choosing this because I'm afraid of what happens if I don't, something shifts. You stop being a victim of your own behavior. You become its author. That's the first crack in the mask. Most advice on people pleasing tells you to just say no. This rarely works, because the problem was never the word. The problem is the fear underneath the word. Try this instead. Notice the next time you're about to agree to something automatically. Don't change your answer. Just notice. Notice the small flinch in your chest. Notice the calculation happening underneath. What will they think? What will they feel? What will they need from me? That noticing is the entire practice. Not changing the behavior, seeing it. Because you cannot stop a pattern, you cannot see. And once you can see it, once you watch yourself doing it in real time, you've already begun to step outside it. The mask becomes visible. And anything visible can be examined. Anything examined can be questioned. Anything questioned can be changed. The Stoics had a phrase for this 2,000 years ago. the unexamined life is not worth living. They didn't mean you needed to read more philosophy. They meant exactly this. Watch yourself. See what you're actually doing. The watching is the freedom. You don't need to become a different person. You only need to become aware of the mask you've been wearing. The mask isn't your enemy. It kept you safe once. It just isn't keeping you alive anymore. The first step out of people pleasing isn't saying no. It's seeing the yes and asking quietly, whose yes is this really? This is the examined life.